What's up, everybody? Welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric,
And I'm David.
and today we are going to preview Mizzou versus Georgia. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook and on Instagram. So Mizzou finds itself ranked in the top 25. They are 25th in this week's college football playoff rankings. And they're going to try and carry their momentum into this game against Georgia, who's ranked number 9. Mizzou's won 5 out of 6, but they have never beaten Georgia at home since joining the SEC. Their only win over Georgia came in 2013. Otherwise, it's been pretty ugly. Now, a few housekeeping notes for the Missouri roster. First, defensive lineman Kobe Whiteside and wide receiver Towski Dove. Both are going to be listed as questionable to play in this game. Sean Robinson, backup quarterback, he should be good to go after missing a few weeks. Defensive back Jarvis Ware, he is for sure out for this game. He might be out for the Mississippi State game as well. And head coach Elijah Drinkwitz confirmed that there are 2 other players, we don't know who are out for this game due to contact tracing with COVID. Now, knowing all this, Dave, what do you think about the Mizzou defense going up against Georgia?
Yeah, I think Mizzou's defense is going to have its hands full, especially with the depleted defensive line now that Kobe Whiteside is questionable. They're going to be going up against some tough offensive linemen for Georgia, and I could potentially see an issue where they might wear down as the game goes on. My other thought on this is with Ware out over on your cornerback side of things, you're looking at a thin secondary, and I'll be interested to see who ends up filling that gap and how well they do on their coverage schemes. I don't know how you feel about that going against Georgia's offense, but I feel like it could be an interesting matchup, especially in the passing game.
Yeah, Georgia's offense is kind of interesting. When we put together these videos, a lot of times we look at stats and we say, ooh, this is the guy. Well, there really isn't that for Georgia. There's a lot of balance is what I take from that. Starting with quarterback, they're on their 3rd starting quarterback of the season. Dwan Mathis was the opening day starter against Arkansas. He was yanked in that game in favor of Stetson Bennett. And he did okay, but over the past 2 games, it's been JT Daniels coming off of a vicious knee injury. And, he's got 2 games, but he's got 540 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. And he's completing 70% of his passes. Compare that with Stetson Bennett, who is completing 55% of his passes, and in 5 games had 8 touchdowns, and 6 picks. So JT Daniels is definitely a step up for Georgia at quarterback. The wide receiver numbers, there's nothing that really grabs your attention when you look at the stat line. The top receiver is probably Kyaris Jackson. That's it. There's nothing that really just jumps off the page at you when you look at statistics. Similarly, with their running game, Zamir White is their leading running back. He's got 614 yards on the season in their 8 games, averaging just over 5 a carry. He's got 9 touchdowns on the season. So, they get in the red zone, look for Zamir White to get the football. A lot of balance. They've blown out bad teams, but they've had more modest numbers against teams like Alabama and Florida. Their 2 losses, 2 of Missouri's losses. So, it's just tough to really key in on a single player for Georgia. That said, they are talented, and the Missouri defense will have their hands full, especially with a secondary that looks to be a little bit shorthanded. As for my key for Missouri going against this Georgia offense, it is that secondary. They got shredded against Arkansas, and I think it's simple. They have to play better. Jarvis Ware not being there, that hurts. What that means is Joshua Bledsoe and Tyree Gillespie at safety really need to step their game up, along with Martez Manuel. Manuel is, he's really enthusiastic, and he's really part of stopping the run game. He's very active in that. He needs to make sure that he does not get caught looking in the backfield, trying to stop a running back on play-action plays. And just make sure that he's not getting burned down the field by a tight end or something like that. Similarly, Ennis Rakestraw, I imagine there'll be a decent amount of man coverage where Rakestraw in particular is just kind of on an island. Might be matched up against Jackson a lot. We'll see. Just hold your own. And, at least keep everything in front of you. Don't get burned for 300 yards against this Georgia passing game.
Yeah, my key for this game for the defense would be to get pressure on JT Daniels. This falls in line kind of with your key, because if you can get him moving around and force him to move his feet, he's more of a pocket passer. He hasn't shown any running ability, especially after he's overcome an ACL injury. That's not saying he can't run. He just hasn't shown it in the games. But I feel like if you can get him moving around and force some bad throws, it will also help our secondary coverage a little bit and take some of the pressure off of them. So now let's take a look at the Mizzou offense going into this game. It'll be interesting to see how they use our wideouts, especially with Towski Dove as questionable. You might see a few freshmen get a start here or there, like maybe Mackling coming into the game. That would be kind of interesting to see how he does. I know he's had a catch or two earlier in the year, so I'll be interested to see if they go to him at all. Mizzou's offense, especially against the Arkansas game, was very balanced, and they had a really good run game going with Roundtree and Beatty. So I'm looking to see that they continue that run game as well as mix in the pass plays and a lot of misdirection, kind of like they did against Arkansas, and continue that offensive trend, because they seem to have a lot of momentum going on their way right now. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Missouri offense is clicking pretty well. They're going against the Georgia defense that, just like their offense, it's balanced. You look at the Georgia defense, and there isn't a linebacker who stands out as like the one complete key cog like Nick Bolton is for Missouri or Grant Morgan was for Arkansas last week. Their leading tackler is Nakobe Dean. He's got 63 tackles on the season, but he's one of three guys who've got more than 45 on the season. So that tells me there's balance, and that they don't rely on a single guy for making a tackle. And you look at their secondary, Richard LeCount, he is really good. He's really good. He is ranked by Mel Kiper Jr. as the fourth best safety in next year's NFL draft class. And he's got 3 picks on the season, despite having played only 5 games. On Halloween night, he was in a motorcycle accident, and he's been out since then. He had some ribs that were, I believe it was bruised ribs, and he had, just kind of the cuts and scrapes and bruises and all that kind of come along with a motorcycle crash. And, getting him back will be a big boost for the Georgia secondary. You look at Georgia, their front seven. They've got, They've got, I believe it is 23 sacks on the season in 8 games. So almost 3 sacks per game. So the offensive line will have its hands full, keeping Bazelak comfortable in the pocket. And, I think it's going to be important for Missouri to just make sure that the front seven is kept in check, especially in obvious passing situations. If we want to take a look at my key for the Missouri offense, it's going to go back to what I talked about in the Arkansas recap video that I did. Missouri runs a decent amount of plays that are all about timing and misdirection. Some of those are jet sweeps where Jalen Knox or Boo Smith will come in motion and it's a quick handoff as they run by Bazelak, or misdirection where it's a fake handoff on that jet sweep and then a handoff like to Roundtree going the opposite direction. That is important because the Georgia front seven is so solid as a unit that the misdirection may slow them down just enough with them having to watch and process in their minds who actually has the ball. And that may make the difference between a play going for 7 or 8 yards or being a tackle at the line of scrimmage. So I think success on those kinds of plays and calling enough of those plays is going to be very important for the Mizzou offense.
Yeah, so my key for this game as well is going to be the offensive line and their run blocking, specifically getting to the second level. If you look at the Arkansas game, a couple of the runs that broke, especially for real long runs, had Daniel Parker Jr. blocking 3 and 4 guys downfield. With how good the linebackers are for Georgia, I'm looking for Mizzou not only get the blocks on the front line, but actually get to the linebackers as well, because if you can seal them off, that's how you're going to open up some larger runs. And by doing that, you allow all kinds of different possibilities, not only for misdirection, but you can also do play action, or you could even do a bunch of misdirection type pass plays as well. So for this game, that's kind of what I'm looking for as a key to the game offensively. Now let's talk about predictions. Before we get into this, I want to mention that in my prediction, I'm taking into account that Georgia is no longer in the running for the SEC championship game. So with regards to that and the possible cold, nasty weather coming up, my big question is how motivated are they going to be for this game?
Yeah, you said it. You know, Georgia came into the season thinking they might have a chance to win a national championship, and here they are eliminated from contention to win the SEC East. So there's a chance that they are, completely not motivated. The weather is supposed to be pretty ugly, kind of typical mid-Missouri December weather. The high is supposed to be in the low 40s. I've seen 43, 42, depending on who you look at. I've seen rain/snow showers, so maybe that dreaded wintry mix that is the work of Satan. And, you're looking at a Georgia team with players from all over the South predominantly. You may have 50 guys on that roster who have never seen snow or the wintry mix before, and they may not have any idea what to do with it. So combining their lack of enthusiasm for the rest of the season, given that their goals are out the window, and the terrible weather, it's a very serious question about how motivated Georgia is coming into this game. On the other hand, they may look and all of a sudden see, oh, this Mizzou team is ranked. We better get our acts together. And maybe they come out hearing everybody talking about, are they motivated? And maybe they come out guns blazing. As for my prediction, I don't think they're going to be that motivated. I think Georgia is going to sleepwalk through this first half. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think it'll be frustrating for Missouri fans because I think at the end of the day, Georgia is, despite being completely unmotivated, I think they're going to out-talent Missouri. I've got Georgia winning the game 36-27.
Now, for my prediction, not only am I looking at how motivated Georgia is, I'm also looking at how motivated Mizzou is.
Yes.
They just now cracked into the top 25. They're almost finished up with their first year under Drinkwitz. So they're buying into the program. You can see it every game, and they're more and more excited every game. You can tell they're ready to play every time they go out there. Because of this, I think they're actually going to pull the upset and beat Georgia 31-28.
That's a good pick.
Yes. So anyway, that's it for us today for Under the Arch Sports. Thank you for watching, and remember to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages.
See you guys next time.